And welcome to the Daily Space Weather Show. The sun is shutting down, so get in your bunkers. Just kidding, folks. Wild gyrations of sunspots is a normal thing throughout a solar cycle. So having a sunspot number down to 50 is not an indication that we are in a grand solar minimum. We'll talk about it and lots more today at the Smash News Network. We'll cover sunspots, coronal holes, filaments, coronal mass ejections, even meteorology. That's the past 24 hours from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. These wavelengths are what we typically use to show filaments. We've got a little uptick in the X-ray flux, while we see a downtick in overall solar activity, and there is a rational explanation for that. It's not climb into your bunker material. So you may see some massive plasma filaments up there in the northern hemisphere, also a well-defined coronal hole up there. Here's the area that's responsible for that uptick in the X-ray flux. It's an active region that's already set well behind the northwestern limb. Some filaments up there are emitting those X-rays. It is not from any events that are on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Here we've gotten rid of the Earth scale and put in this 11,000 kilometer scale, just so you have a different concept of the size involved with those plasma filaments. When we're looking at the sun, even a small plasma filament is kind of big. 11,000 kilometers represented by that scale there. Here's the equatorial zoom. Huge filament right there in the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk, just moving into western longitudes. And when we see times of low solar activity, it's always a good time to take a look at some distinct features. So to that end, here are some plasma features down there in the southwestern limb. Small active region setting down there. By the way, if you enjoy the Daily Space Weather Show, if you think it's good content, how about pressing the like button? I know it's a lot to ask. Press the like button, though, otherwise we can't continue the video. I know it's a pain. Have you pressed like? You haven't pressed like yet, have you? Smash staff keeps lying and claiming that you've pressed the like button. Give Smash staff a raise by pressing like. We're only the most comprehensive daily space weather show in the known universe. As you may see, more detailed imagery of the sun than you'll find anyplace else. Also in-depth analysis, forecasting, even meteorology segments. We've even got playlists that include videos that have nothing to do with space weather. I started the channel back in about 2017, realizing that there is a huge hole in the space weather coverage on YouTube. So rather than complain, I figured I would show people like you what I wanted to see. So here you are. So these are the features and statistics that I want to look at. If you've got suggestions, leave us a comment. And if you're mad about the fact stated in the video, definitely leave us a comment. There's nothing more rewarding than rage comments. So definitely leave those if we've made you angry. We do read all comments. So have you pressed like yet? Press share, etc. Press all of the things. And help support the Smash News Network least busted name in news. Some other ways to support us are the following, which are, by the way, paid endorsements. Smashomash.com/SmashTeam is our subscription services site. And rather than complain about not getting notifications on YouTube about the videos going up, why not sign up for email alerts? You'll even get those at the bronze level. However, if you'd like additional content, join at the silver or gold level. obviously the most content shows up on gold level feeds. Just log in and click posts, and you'll see the posts for your level. Some of those posts don't even require login. Smashomash.com/SmashTeam. You'll find the main releases right there. And again, we send out email alerts as a workaround for the problem people are having with not seeing the videos appearing in their subscription feed. So support the channel that way and don't miss the daily content. Another way to support the channel is via merch. And don't try to shartlight me, or don't shartlight me, I should say. Don't try to gaslight me. It's just pathetic. Never try to gaslight somebody with a better memory than you, folks. It won't work, and you'll do nothing but reduce your own credibility. Anyway, this is the term that I made up just in the past year. Shartlight. To fail to gaslight somebody, only to crap on one's own credibility. Lots of shartlighting going on the internet. And all kinds of giant corporations are shartlighting, destroying their credibility. How about News Corp? How about them? How about ABC, NBC, Fox, CNN, HNN, and many, many, many highly overpaid YouTube creators shartlighting big time, assuming that their viewers are stupid. I personally know some YouTubers who think that their viewers are stupid. That is not a good idea. Don't assume people are stupid, folks. Don't assume that the guy you're arguing with on Facebook or on Twitter knows less than you about whatever you're arguing about. That person might be an expert in that field. You might make a fool of yourself. Which, by the way, we encourage, as we encourage all free speech. So please don't shartlight. It's just pathetic. Gaslighting is evil. Shartlighting is pathetic. Know the difference. Another paid endorsement is our Hemp Lucid shop. So visit that. You can find that linked below the video, just like the link to the Redbubble shop. The most popular products are the CBD tinctures, namely the water-soluble ones. You can also find savings on the mushroom gummies. Also, even bigger savings on stress, immune, and sleep stacks. Even bigger savings on the full stack. So check that out if you haven't tried out CBDs. If you're having problems with inflammation, or if you need enhanced sleep or reduced stress or an enhanced immune system, perhaps try out the stress, immune, and sleep stacks. Save $15 on any of those products. Again, linked below the video, right there in the description. Another paid endorsement is our Amazon shop. Yeah, we've got an Amazon storefront. It's Amazon.com/shop/Smashomash. Today's featured product is the Celestron. Rather cheap Newtonian telescope. I mean, about $300 there. And the solar imagery that you'll get from this thing, if you put a solar filter on it, will amaze and astound you. You do not need an expensive telescope to get amazing, amazing footage of, if you want to see the rings of Saturn and so on. But the sun, keep in mind, folks, the sun is the size of the full moon, obviously. Hence, total solar eclipses. And the imagery that you will get with a telescope, with a solar filter of the closest star, is absolutely spectacular. You will be astounded. And for all the people that are telling you space is fake and the sun is just a plain white disk, the features that we show regularly on our channel are visible with a cheap telescope. So this is in one of our collections here on the Amazon storefront. Amusement, fun for science nerds. A couple other telescopes there as well. That's the Celestron Astromaster 130 EQ Newtonian telescope. I'm not an expert on telescopes, so you can find links to that on the homepage at smashomash.com, the official website of the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Did you know that in 2019 a crack YouTube unit was sent to social media prison for a crime we didn't commit, and that we promptly escaped a maximum security social media stockade to the internet underground where we survive as producers a fortune? If you have a problem, if no one else can help, maybe you can hire the Smash team. No, seriously, you can definitely hire the Smash team by becoming a member of the Smash team at the bronze, silver, gold, or even gold annual paid up subscription level, which is the best value because it's almost like getting 4 months for free. It includes complimentary merch, smashomash.com/smashteam. All those links on the homepage. Go visit us on social media, etc. And let's get back to the daily space weather, as we've been trying to make this channel sustainable for over 6 years. So increase the probability these videos will continue to exist, remain publicly visible, and free for all to view by becoming a member of the Smash Team or visiting those other links that I just mentioned. Thanks to everybody who has. And here is October 18th and October 19th to date. Again, sunspot number dropping down to around 50 sunspots. So for all of you people who are spooked of an inactive sun, there you go. I know people are spooked of an active sun. They're spooked of an inactive sun. Neither thing is spooky at all. But hey, maybe it's time for you to head to the bunker. By all means, when the video's complete, head to your bunker. If you're inside of a Faraday cage, oh my God, you'll be so safe, I tell you. Here's the colorized magnetogram for the same period, October 18th and October 19th to date. Very weak solar activity. And again, the uptick in the X-ray flux for the past few hours is from a filament that's on above an active region that's already set in the northwest. We'll show you it later. Let's take a brief look at what's going on planet Earth. As many viewers are interested in things like volcanoes and earthquakes, so we cover it. Bezimiany continues to explode. It's a flight level 210 over the central Kamchatka Depression. Sakurajima, 7,000-foot ash plume over Kyushu, Japan. The Ryukyu Islands featuring Suwanosejima, producing like a 7,000-foot ash plume, it looks like there. And check it out, ash emissions there venting from the home reef Tonga. New real estate there showing up at Tonga. Mount Ibu. That's on Indonesia's Isle of Halmahera. Flight level 070, 7,000-foot ash plume, 7,000-foot ash plume over Luatolo as it explodes. It's a flight level 070. Flight level 070 over Dakono. Please do not fly your hang glider or home-built ultralight aircraft over the home reef of Tonga. The lava flow continues to enlarge the lava delta on the western part of the island by emerging from the main conduit. Shishildin in the Aleutian Islands there. Seismic unrest continues at Shishildin. Popocatépetl exploding. Flight level 220 over central Mexico. It's a 22,000-foot ash plume. 20,000-foot ash plume over Colombia from Nevado del Ruiz, and unable to detect Sabancaya. Don't assume it's not erupting and decide to pole vault the caldera. That could be unhealthful. And we don't want to see that. Don't become part of the lithosphere if you're going on a volcanic vacation. Leave the vault pole at home. Next, earthquakes. And there was certainly one interesting one in California. We'll cover that first. And then the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude. That's the past 90 days. And here is that quake in California. North of Brentwood. It was a 4.2 magnitude shaker. Northwest of Stockton, California. That one came through at 16:29 Universal Time yesterday afternoon. And here are the quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude for the past 24 hours. Starting with this one here near the Pacific-Antarctic plate boundary. That was a 5.5 at 10:29 Universal Time yesterday morning. So things pretty calm here. Quite a few quakes around the Pacific Rim, but no large ones. There's one south of Japan, a 5.1 at 22:15 Universal Time yesterday evening on October 18th. Kermadec Islands had a 5.3. So most of the activity there is in the western Pacific once again. That was at 0 dark 45 this morning, that 5.3 at the Kermadec Islands region. Adjacent to the Kermadec Trench in between Tonga and New Zealand. The Ryukyu Islands also had a 5.0. That was at 3:51 Universal Time this morning. And there ends the 5 and greater magnitude quakes. Hey there, how about some solar imagery featuring 2 different species of ionized iron from SDO? That's 171 plus 335 angstroms. I figured I'd show something different today. Hey, a little bit of variety never hurts, right? These wavelengths are good at showing active regions, filaments, the lower quiet corona. There's the equatorial zoom. And let's talk stats. The 10.7, the F107 as it's sometimes referred, is all the way down to 135 solar flux units. Another reason to climb into your bunker, pardon the sarcasm, it's not scary in any way. There is the radio flux over the past year, the black line depicting the radio flux. And look at the red line there, the sunspot number approaching 50 sunspots as another one has degraded since yesterday. Space Weather Enthusiast Dashboard still forecasting some geomagnetic unrest tonight and indeed tomorrow night. So must be another coronal mass ejection impact forecasted by NOAA. I'm on board with the one for tonight. The one for tomorrow night, not so much. Anyway, let's take a look at the Enlil spirals here briefly. So here is the NOAA Enlil spiral, and that CME that's in the forecast there for tonight, I agree. The next one, I have no idea what they're forecasting because it's not showing anything for tomorrow night. So there's that. And here's NASA's forecast, which shows the CME missing like entirely to the east, and also showing that it's off to the north, the exact opposite. It's actually to the south and somewhat directly oriented toward Earth from an east-west perspective. So, okay. Anyway, here's Earth's magnetic moment from space for the past 4 hours, and we've got a probably subsiding geomagnetic unrest condition. So the auroras have been sparked up in the past several hours. That's coronal mass ejection impact number 3 of 4, I suspect. And we'll show you the real-time solar wind here momentarily. And I think we may start covering both instruments instead of the active spacecraft. Anyway, that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space depicting magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground depicting magnetic flux density. And again, some aurora have been sparked. So a little bit of activity there. If you've got great auroral imagery to share, the best place to do it is on Twitter. You could also do it on Instagram or even on our Discord channel, also linked at smashomash.com. Here's the KP index, currently at 2.33. It made it up to almost proper geomagnetic unrest, 3.67. So a little bit of activity there, once again popping off. And here's a real-time solar wind. This is the active spacecraft. It's showing ACE and Discover, but it's actually showing the ACE. As you can see down at the bottom, there's a green bar there. So up here it says ACE and Discover. See that? ACE plus Discover right up there. But it's actually showing the ACE because down here you can see a green bar. So don't be confused by that. So currently the ACE is showing solar wind density of only 1.64 protons per cubic centimeter, solar wind speed of only 363 kilometers per second. And you may be asking yourself, how did we get to geomagnetic unrest with those conditions? I mean, we did have a BZ of 7 nanotesla with a solid a BT of 7 nanotesla with a solid BZ of -4, which is probably the main culprit. Let's see what the Discover was sensing. Very similar magnetic field, but a higher solar wind speed, which has dipped and then come back up again. So very different, slightly different readings there. The Discover showing 3.4 protons per cubic centimeter and a slightly faster solar wind speed there at 419 kilometers per second. Also, the plasma temperatures are vastly different. Check it out. 5.59 e to the fourth, 2.64 e to the fifth. So significantly higher plasma temperature there at the Discover versus the ACE. So once again, you can see different plasma regimes on the different spacecraft located at Lagrangian point 1. Next, the GOES magnetometers here showing a little bit of sawtooth readings there. Another thing you would expect with geomagnetic unrest conditions. No surprises there on the GOES magnetometers. The GOES 16 and GOES 18 there. The past 3 days of their geosynchronous near equatorial magnetometer readings. Next, the top view ecliptic plane field plot. It's hard to say, folks. Top view ecliptic plane field plot. Yeah, that's what it is. And there is a North Pole current sheet headed this way, although it has stalled a little bit. So it could be here by tomorrow's daily space weather video. It could be here later today, or it might not even be here yet by tomorrow. So it looked like it was going to be a little bit quicker, and you can see it has stalled here. North Pole current sheet is imminent within 48 hours, but within 24 hours, I am unsure of that. So there you go. That's the heliospheric current sheet's polarity. And here is our line of sight field plot. Solar B field in blue, north solar polar field in green, south polar field in red, and the gong magnetogram. That's the magnetogram of the photosphere in grayscale. The photosphere is the surface of the sun. Above that is the chromosphere, the transitional region, and then the rest is the corona, which is the solar atmosphere. So that's our line of sight field plot, and next our coronal hole line of sight plot. And that well-defined coronal hole in the northern hemisphere is of south pole orientation. We've got some migrating North Pole coronal holes over here. If you look at the last few images, check it out. See those North Pole coronal holes there migrating? So a little bit of magnetic instability there in the eastern limb. A little bit of magnetic indecision in the solar atmosphere. Anyway, there's the latest image, and let's switch to SDO. There's the SDO 211 angstroms wavelength. And in any case, this is south, this is north, and the sector boundary crossing is something like this. So it is imminent, and it looks like that North Pole coronal hole is going to be transequatorial. So we can expect an uptick in the solar wind here in the next week. So that's still several days out. And let's move to sunspots. Because for some reason, an inactive sun causes people to run around with their hair on fire, saying, oh my God, I'm so spooked. I don't understand heliophysics, astrophysics, cosmology, etc. The sunspot number's down to 50. It's time to climb into the bunker. But there it is. Sunspot number here, by far the lowest it's been over the past month, all the way down to about 50 sunspots. Now, there is one problem that I have with this, and it's that this sunspot up here never got a name. That sunspot should have been called 3469. I don't think it ever did get named. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that sunspot was there for well over 2 days. However, it has now evaporated. So that sunspot no longer there. Or if so, it's very tiny. But it should have gotten a name for sure. It was a significant beta-class sunspot, and it was super obvious for at least 48 hours. So anyway, whatever. Here's the past 24 hours. And, I mean, you can clearly see that sunspot for, I don't know, 18 of the past 24 hours. So, I mean, if that one didn't get named, that's a travesty because that is a significant sunspot. But whatever. It's really all arbitrary as far as I'm concerned, although it does affect the sunspot numbers. So let's just hope nobody is trying to alter the sunspot numbers by underreporting sunspots. That would be unfortunate. But at this point, I'm not so sure I'd be surprised. What about you? Let us know in the comments what you think. So that's sunspots for the past 24 hours, and let's move to energetic particles and solar flares. So there's the proton flux, still flatlined. The likelihood of large solar flares is kind of low also, folks. And there's this little uptick in the X-ray flux that I told you about. It is all a result of that plasma filament up in the northwestern limb. And indeed, those recent small C-class flares did also come from the western limb. We'll show you those here in a bit. First, more 24-hour videos. That's 131 plus 94 angstroms SDO. There's the northern hemisphere where most of the action is currently occurring. And here's the area that has increased the X-ray flux. So again, there's an active region there behind the solar limb. Another great example of how we regularly see large flares coming from active regions that aren't even visible on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. We see flares regularly while the sunspots are obscured behind the limb. And there's an extreme close-up of it. So that is just some transient flaring from that region. That is not from any active regions on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. The likelihood of large solar flares is currently quite low. Quite low indeed. So a little cut back to the sunspot number here, since many of you may be very spooked of the sunspot number being so low. And I would bring us back, let's bring us back to the Solon.info graph. Here you go. And you can see back here that was in March of 2023, we made it all the way down to 20-some sunspots. And then down here in February, when people were claiming we were already at solar maximum on YouTube, we made it all the way down to looks like 12 sunspots back there in February. So we heard people saying on YouTube, people who don't understand physics or heliophysics or astronomy or anything like that, telling their viewers that, oh no, we're at solar maximum already. And then the sunspot number promptly went to 200 plus. So there's that. I mean, I don't know. They think we're going to have a spooky weak solar cycle because reasons. And the fact of the matter is, folks, that sunspot cycles are extremely consistent in length. And solar cycle 25 has already vastly exceeded solar cycle 24. It's even possible that it will exceed solar cycle 23. So anyway, here's a star chart of what's going on overhead Lehigh Valley. I guess that counts as space weather, right? I saw a very bright object up there when I looked out the front door this morning. Venus, the third brightest object visible from Earth, and also Jupiter, the sometimes fourth and sometimes fifth brightest object when it's not Mars. Also the brightest star currently visible there. To the southeast of Orion's belt, Sirius. I'm serious, that is a rowdy star. Next, your solar system forecast. Brought to you by theplanetstoday.com and the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Here's where things are today. There's where heavenly bodies will be in a week. And look, oh no, folks, planets are in a line. Oh no, what's that going to do? Absolutely nothing. Planets are not in control of earthquakes. They're not in control of sunspots, solar cycles, or anything like that. So just move on, and it's just ridiculous. The amount of gravitational influence by all the planets in line with each other equates to about a ping pong ball of weight on Earth. I don't know. I've heard that. That's an anecdote. Anyway, today's astronomy photo of the day features this amazing canyon in Utah. And by the way, this right here, you see this arc? That is not Nibiru. That is lens flare. Lens flare. Anyway, check out this sweet canyon in Utah. Looks like a great mountain biking spot. And the reason for this is this sunrise image also has the annular eclipse from October 14th. So that's apod.nasa.gov, the astronomy photo of the day. Some great imagery there of the closest star and the ring of fire. And here's some more imagery of this awesome canyon. And there's an overlook spot. Very nice. apod.nasa.gov. It's called Bryce Canyon. And let's move on to CMEs. And we have had some pretty awesome CMEs here once again. Are they earthly directed? Well, we'll cover it. But we won't use the George Mason University coronagraphs because they are still down for the count here for a solid week. So there's Soho Lasco C2 and C3. Massive CME there coming out of the northwest. There it goes. Dag, it has a dense core. Is it earthly directed? Does it have an earthly directed component? Well, let's look a little closer. The answer is no. We got the C2 a little bit ahead of the C3 as we do. Mercury there moving through the frame. That coronal mass ejection came from that same area that's been producing the flaring behind the northwestern limb. It is not earthly directed, not even close. So, but a great light show there popping off early this morning. We'll also show it from Stereo A's perspective. And we show this because Stereo A is located there very closely in line with the Earth yet, but it is gaining on Earth, moving ahead of Earth orbitally speaking, and seeing slightly older space weather. There's a great view of that from Stereo A's coronagraph. Nice. Next we'll show our custom coronagraphs. Here's a 24-hour video featuring SDO 1. Wait a minute. There it is. We show the zoomed out one first. And then we zoom in a little bit closer. And you can clearly see that coronal mass ejection there coming from behind the northwestern limb, not from the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk, which remains very quiet. Here we'll subtract the C3 and add 304 angstroms to the 193 angstroms SDO imagery of the sun. And then before we get to filaments, we'll get back to where we started. A 24-hour video with just 193 plus 304, ionized iron and ionized helium. Great at showing filaments, and there are still several massive ones facing Earth. So here is this is El Teide, Spain. We're going to show El Teide, Spain and Udaipur, India today because of the most updated images coming from those locations. Looks like some instability with some of these filaments, this filament right here especially. Just moving into western heliographic longitudes there. So massive filaments and lots of them. And I think only this one has a name. Actually, this one over here, this is the Eric Weinstein filament. This is the Sonia Agora filament. And these ones over here, let's bring up the last image actually. Huge filament rotating in over here. So let's see, we've got one, I'm going to say that's a single filament, so that's 2, 3. We've got at least 3 that could get names. I wouldn't name any of these over here because they're unlikely to become earthly directed, but these ones could become earthly directed coronal mass ejections. And if you want to name filaments, go join us over on Twitter. Now, we almost did a cosmology story today about colonizing Mars, but because it's such an idiotic idea, I don't really want to talk about it because I don't like talking about idiotic ideas. They bore me, like Elon Musk. So, make sure you go follow us over on Twitter if you do social media, and if you've unplugged entirely, we 100% understand because of the pathetic censorship on those platforms. So, will we colonize Mars? The answer is no, it's an idiotic idea. There are no resources there, so why spend trillions of dollars taking resources there to a barren wasteland? It's a truly moronic idea. This article is from Gizmodo. So this is our cosmology segment of the day. Colonizing Mars. It's stupid. And even Brian Keating did a video about it, entitled "Going to Mars is an Escapist Fantasy." And he is 100% right with this title. Here's a clip.
There's maybe even more.
The minimum duration.
All the way you're experiencing extreme microgravity, which destroys your mental capacity. It destroys brain function. Astronauts come back.
Who wants to go on a suicide mission to Mars? Not me. It's an idiotic idea. And yeah, there's absolutely no purpose. It's just dumb. And who wants to spend 2 years? And you might not even survive, by the way. You might receive a fatal dose of radiation on the trip. So, yeah, it's so stupid that it's not even really worthy of an hour-and-a-half discussion, frankly. So here's Udaipur, India's ground-based solar observatory. And again, you can see massive filaments here. We do have some prominences in the east and some prominences in the west. So that's what's going on. Let's get the bonus feature since we did have some flaring. And again, it is coming from the western limb. So these most recent flares, I think, yep, they're coming from this same region here, from behind the northwestern limb. So a prime example of how you can see significant flares from active regions not even visible on the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Also, folks, remember that you don't need to see solar flares or even sunspots to see coronal mass ejections. They happen all the time, regardless of what the sunspot number is. Coronal mass ejections happen even at solar minimum, folks, which is, by the way, when we figured out how to forecast them. Anyway, here come bonus features, starting with satellite charging hazards. We do have some minor surface charging there over Mexico and the eastern Pacific. So that is low-energy electrons that are building up on the outside of spacecraft. Don't expect any major communications breakdowns from those minor surface charging hazards. The GOES electron flux here, kind of low, which is what you may expect during times of geomagnetic unrest. And keep in mind, these GOES electron flux readings do get erroneous during proper geomagnetic storm conditions, although at the moment we are having legit low electron flux, I believe. Here's the 1-year graph. Once again from Solon.info. That's the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron flux as measured by the GOES 16 and GOES 18 for the past year. And here's the forecast model. NOAA expecting an uptick here, and that may indeed be a thing. So no arguments there. I neither agree nor disagree with that. I can neither affirm nor deny that forecast. The extreme low levels of electron flux here over the past week or so have got me out of ideas of how to forecast the electron flux. Anyway, it is measured at the F layer of the ionosphere, so let's move into our ionosphere section. We'll show that and the total electron content data. Here is the raw vibrational frequency of the F layer, courtesy of Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. It's very diffuse gas. It is highly ionized due to incoming solar radiation. 300 kilometers is arguably space. I mean, I would say it's space. And we're seeing mostly high-frequency anomalies here. Those geomagnetic storm conditions that we briefly saw have been very minor. Here's the anomalygram, anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median, and you'll see more blue than red, despite that brief period of geomagnetic unrest. Didn't even get to a KP4 there. Keep in mind the next coronal mass ejection impact coming tonight, October 19th into October 20th, should be a little bit more significant. So we might see as far as a KP 6.33 tonight, and we'll see more red on the ionogram, likely on tomorrow's daily space weather video. So expect more low-frequency anomalies as the ionosphere is likely to get scintillated tonight. Anyway, here is the 10:45 Universal Time ionogram and 10:45 Universal Time anomalygram. Next, the WAM, the whole atmosphere model. As we transition to total electron content, the ionosphere map shows one slice of the ionosphere in vibrational frequency. This is depicting literally a count of electrons on the left and the maximum usable radio frequency on the right. Both should be useful for GPS and radio operators. Total electron content depicts free electrons to about 12,500 miles. That's the approximate altitude of your GPS satellite. Free electrons cause signal refraction, and here are the likely places to see GPS errors. And we'll show the total electron content over North America. The anomaly from the 10-day median, or the 10-day average. So we are seeing quite a few high electron count anomalies there over northern Canada, Central America, northern South America, North America. We'll let it play through one more time. And we'll close out space weather with high-res images of a very quiet sun that is still likely over a year out from solar maximum. And I can't believe it's controversial to say that. Anyway, there's the full disk rockback. These sunspots are not very magnetically complex. They are, I think those might even all be alpha class sunspots. No, this one's still beta class, but barely. So that one's beta class. Barely beta class. Not even beta gamma class. And let's move to meteorology. Yes, meteorology. So we're going to start out looking at ocean temperatures. We're going to show the Arctic. So there is the Arctic. I don't know. Is it controversial to say ice is building now that we are approaching winter time in the Arctic? I don't know. What about the Antarctic? I have no comment on the Antarctic ice sheets or ice shelves or whatever. Did you know that Antarctica formed its ice sheets about 33 million years ago when the planet was an average of 3 degrees Celsius warmer than it is today? Anyway, let's look at the sea surface temperature anomalies. Sea surface temperature anomaly is a little bit more definitive. So there's the Southern Ocean's sea surface temperature anomalies. The Indian Ocean's sea surface temperature anomalies. There is the Atlantic. A lot of warm water still hanging out there around south of Greenland, around Newfoundland and Nova Scotia. Next to last, here's the penultimate sea surface temperature anomalies. Those are the Pacific Oceans. It's also depicting surface winds, by the way. And there is the sea surface temperature anomaly for the Arctic. All right, now to our regularly scheduled meteorology segment. These are the surface winds of the eastern world. These are the jet streams of the east. Jet streams of Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Surface winds of the central world. Surface winds of the west. Jet streams of the west. And if you're wondering, yes, we've got some close-up imagery of that. First, new snow. Yeah, new snow. Greenland is getting plastered with new snow. I don't know, maybe that's controversial to say. Geez, I'm terribly sorry if these facts are controversial. But check it out. There's the next 12 hours of new snow in the Euro forecast. There's the GFS forecast. Let's stick with the GFS. There's the next 24 hours. And there is the next 3 days. Greenland expecting some areas there with 141 inches of new snow. Pretty sizable amount. Next, clouds and fog over the western world. We're zooming in closer and closer to the U.S. And by the way, if you think this is a chemtrail, you don't understand aircraft tech or meteorology. You want a close-up of that hurricane? All right, here we go. Here's that hurricane, and it has indeed suddenly lurched to the east. Just in the past few hours there, a sudden turn. And there is a bunch of warm water up there, so there is significant convective potential. And let's move on to weather.gov's map. Weather.gov, these are the weather warnings for the 50 states of AUSA, the allegedly United States of America. We showed the key. We showed the gale warnings and winter storm warnings in Alaska. So let's move on to some forecasts here from tropicaltidbits.com. Yes, tropicaltidbits.com. It's good times. If you want weather forecasts, head there. We show them daily on the channel. Here's your pressure and precipitation forecast based on the GFS model for the next 72 hours. And check it out. That hurricane's going to plow into land and disintegrate almost instantly. Look at that thing. The pressure goes from 990 to who knows what. Just plastered. That hurricane is doomed as it makes landfall. So that's your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. Next we'll show GFS 72-hour temperature anomaly forecast. It is in degrees Celsius, so keep that in mind. And anomalously warm there, especially west of the Mississippi. And let's show the thing that's really in control of your airflow, the jet stream, not mankind. Weather, it's not controlled by cloud seeding, by HARP, by chemtrails, by contrails. Nothing like that whatsoever. Mankind is unable to control the weather, especially on a scale like that. Thousands and thousands and thousands of miles. So that's the real thing in control of the weather, and it's going to stay cold in Pennsylvania here as the jet stream is going to actually intensify, continuing to send us cold, cold Canadian air. Cold, crisp Canadian air. That's the 250 millibar GFS 72-hour forecast. Here's lightning for the past about 10 hours. Quite a bit of lightning there around northern South America and Central America, also the Caribbean and the Leeward Islands. Not so much over the U.S. Here's a real-time lightning map, courtesy of lightningmaps.org. We've got about pushing 300 strikes per minute here. Quite a bit of lightning there around Panama. Anyway, let's close this thing out with U.S. Doppler radar, clouds and fog and water vapor. There's the full 50 state view. There's the lower 48 view. A huge band of moisture stretching all the way from Louisiana to Lake Huron. There you can see it on the cloud map. That's shortwave radiation, by the way, if you want to watch clouds and fog at nighttime. Low clouds off the coast of North and South Carolina there. And here is the water vapor map. You can see that impulse will continue moving that system to the east. That is the jet stream interaction. The real force that moves your weather from west to east. Not imaginary man-made features. Chemtrails. A thing that people who don't understand aircraft tech nor meteorology still believe in. It's pretty pathetic. Here's clouds and fog now that we've showed the recap of radar. And there is water vapor, which will clear things up for you if your Doppler is unclear, although that's pretty clear, the current situation there. The Doppler is not going to be doing anything deceptive. The system is going to move quite consistently to the east. Anyway, it's time for me to get back in the bunker because I'm so spooked of space. Oh no, space! I'm so scared of space, folks. A bunch of hack frauds on YouTube have convinced me that space is very scary, so I'm going back to the bunker again because of all the stupid stuff I've heard. It caused me to just jump in. Whoa!